Join us today as we dive deep into the Indian Lake Trilogy and reveal the secrets behind its legendary final girl, along with some deeper themes that make this read amazing. Hey there, fantasy, sci-fi, and horror lovers. Welcome back to Fantasy for the Ages. I'm Jim, the father of this channel, where a father and son talk about fantasy, sci-fi, horror, and other nerdy things we enjoy. Today, we're taking a stab, yes, pun fully intended, at a full spoil discussion of the Indian Lake Trilogy by Stephen Graham Jones. With me today is not my son, Zach. You'll see him again soon. Trust me, he's coming. But instead, I have Stephen King constant reader, closet horror aficionado, and returning guest, Eric. Welcome back, Eric.
Hey Jim, great to be back. Thanks for having me back, and thank you for introducing me to this trilogy. It's summertime, so I'm a school person during the year, but in the summer I paint houses and listen to audiobooks. That's my professional summer things. So I was able to listen to all three of these books within the span of, I don't know, a week or something, and just really chew through them.
Nice.
And I had a lot of fun. So I'm excited to talk with you today and probably draw some Stephen King comparisons
There
even.
you go. There you go. Stephen King is a fan of Stephen Graham Jones' writing,
There
so
is. Yep.
that's a plus. I have to admit, this was a little bit of a test of how far I could take things with you. Yeah, because I mean, Stephen King's one thing, but
Yeah.
the way Stephen Graham Jones is putting stuff, I mean, this trilogy, blood-soaked, heart-wrenching, horror-filled. I didn't know how far you would come with me on these things.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this was very interesting. I think it did strike a chord with me. You were right. You said, I think you'll really like this one. And usually when you say that, you are right. But I think the first comparison I want to draw and sort of the overall thing that makes it great is the subject is very accessible, but the writing is very, very good.
And you
So,
watch for that. That's a way,
yes,
that's a filter you approach books with.
yes. Everyone loves, especially in the summer. I don't know why, but like I was really excited to do slasher stuff. And I'm not a huge slasher movie guy, but I like horror and I like slashers okay. But it was just fun, which maybe is a weird word to describe it, but
Well, we'll see as we dive more into it here, if that remains appropriate or not. But I do want to mention to viewers now, if you haven't read My Heart is a Chainsaw, Don't Fear the Reaper, and The Angel of Indian Lake, all three of them, turn back now. This episode will be full spoilers. You've
full
been
spoiler.
warned. We're not tiptoeing through any tulips here. We're charging through the carnage.
Yes.
So come back after you've read them all. So let's kick things off with a basic question. As you said, I recommended the trilogy to you,
Yeah.
and I knew you were an author who has very little patience for poor writing in your judgment. So you're telling me that as you look at it, the stories critically hold up as good writing. Tell me a little more about that.
Yeah, I just think I was going back through some quotes and thinking about scenes and thinking about turns of phrase and how things are described. And especially listening to all three of them back to back, you would think there's only so many things you can do with describing carnage. And then also describing, what's going on in the human characters as they
Yeah,
deal with all
right.
this traumatic stuff. And, you just really feel like you're right there in it. I did point out to you a couple funny phrases that he uses, which I think I noticed more because of the nature of listening to them so close together, and I did them all
Right.
as audiobooks.
Mm-hmm.
But just the way that he describes everything is just brilliant. Brilliant writing.
Yeah, I appreciated how he used time gaps between each novel, about 4 years between each one of them,
Yep.
and really showed genuine character growth between books. And not just, oh, they got older. No, how the trauma was impacting people
Yeah.
and it changes them, some for the better, I mean, it's never good to go through trauma, but some come through better,
Right.
stronger, more
Some,
resilient.
some rise
Others
from the ashes.
others come through as damaged goods. I mean, ugh, what
Yeah.
it does to them. And some of that, and this I felt was so natural to real life. Some of what the trauma did to different characters had a lot to do with what they brought to it in the first place. We're not all wired the same.
Yeah.
I mean, Cinnamon Baker was already a screwed up individual before the first trauma comes along.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, his characters. This is what I really appreciated about the books. They're definitely like the book version of a slasher movie with one huge difference, and that's a difference that any novel can bring that the screen can't, which is interiority,
Mhm.
right? Like you really know what's going on inside the characters, and you do see that progression. It's just not just a scream fest and running and being scared. You can see what's going on the
Yes.
inside.
Yes.
And yeah, that character growth. And Stephen Graham Jones commented on that in the afterword of the last one, The Angel of Indian Lake. Just the joys and challenges of taking a character through a trilogy. He was talking mostly about Jade, the main
Mhm.
character. And that was both fun and incredibly challenging. And I resonated with that. And she really does have distinct growth
Yes.
through each book. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
If you've read these books already, but you did what a lot of people do and you skipped the epilogue stuff, not true epilogue, but when the author, his notes at the end, when he talks about it, you missed out.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, go
It's
back if you
hilarious.
skipped that stuff. Really fascinating. I am one who in the past used to skip stuff like that. I don't tend to anymore because I'm trying to be a little smarter as I booktube. It was really interesting. It was fascinating to hear some of his process, the things that went into this, where things came from, what he was trying to accomplish, and just kind of getting a sense of who the author is, which is now why I'm going back and reading so much of his other books because I kind of fell in love with him as an author.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for I have the newest one on my wait list, the
The
Buffalo
Buffalo,
Hunter,
yes, 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 yes. I've
which
got it.
just makes you laugh already, just
Yeah,
the
it's
title.
coming. But
Yeah.
because I kind of do things in order, that one's going to wait a while. I'm doing a lot of the back catalog first, and I'll
I
come back
should
to it.
do that. I should do that. Yeah.
Okay, let's move into some deeper details with the books here. Let's talk a bit more about Jade. Specifically, how does Jade's understanding of the final girl evolve across the trilogy? Because she comes into it with one mindset
Yeah.
and she looks at it very differently later. Ultimately, she embodies or even subverts the archetype of the final girl. What did you see in that? How did you appreciate, view that
Yeah.
development?
That was super interesting. I mean, and that again, brilliant aging and growth and learning because in the first one, she's very much like, okay, I have identified the final girl. It's this one person,
Letha,
Letha.
she's so
Yeah,
perfect. She has to
Letha
be the final
Mondragon.
girl.
She's all the final girl
Has
characteristic.
everything, the whole package.
And it's sort of an analytical, like high school student understanding of like, oh, it's very literal. Like this girl is beautiful. She's smart. She knows all this stuff. And then in the second one, it seems like, well, at the end of the first one, as you know, she's kind of like surprised, like, wait a minute, am I the final girl?
That can't be right. Yeah.
The second one, she seems to still be kind of like, no, 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 I'm definitely not final girl material. That was kind of an accident. But more so because in the second one, she is like, nope, I am not horror girl anymore. I don't do that anymore. That's not me anymore.
I totally loved how it flipped though. It
Yeah,
rejected that while Letha dove into the horror novels while she's been away for 4 years.
that was a hilarious development of, like, wait a minute, wait, why are you how do you know all this? You've been watching? You read all my notes?
And a
Yeah,
great
that was
testimony to
great.
how we don't just impact ourselves. I mean, when we're gone, the things we've done sometimes have lingering effects. I
Yep.
mean, Letha's like, okay, Jade was the only one who knew what was happening during this Independence Day massacre. I need to be ready next time.
Yep, yep. And everyone, by the third book, everyone's like kind of in awe of her.
Mm-hmm.
Third book, she still, I guess her understanding grows to be like, when I was a kid, I had this picture of the perfect final girl, and now I know that the stereotypical final girl doesn't have to be. Anyone can be a final girl. I can be a final girl.
Yes.
So that whole concept, my normal horror is not the slasher film. So kind of just spending some time in that trope of like thinking about the final girl, the perfect, virginal, nice, preppy is a word, 90s word that comes to my mind. That was fun.
Yeah.
And the way he played with that was really fun
Yes.
throughout the whole trilogy.
A word that comes to mind is for Jade to come to realize final girl isn't just a status that is thrust upon you.
Hmm.
It can be something that you have some agency in. You
Yeah.
can choose to be the final girl, be the one to step up and do what needs to get done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agency is a perfect word. I'm glad you said that because, yes, through the course of the trilogy, she ends up taking a lot more of her fate in her own hands
Mm-hmm.
purposefully. And
Yes.
the first one is kind of like it's thrust upon you, like you just said, and you got to deal with it using what little knowledge you have. By the third one, she's like, all right, let's do this.
That's right. She's
Yeah.
not just surviving anymore. She's bearing those emotional scars. She's making the impossible decisions.
Yeah.
She's challenging the very myths of final girls that she used to worship. No, no, she has become the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of becoming the story, it swings me to something I was fascinated by with Stephen Graham Jones' writing decisions in each of the books, because he took a different style for each one.
Hmm.
The first one, it's almost all from Jade's point of view, but I spent a good, at least the first quarter of the book, and still maybe into halfway of the book, wondering how much of what we're seeing is real, how much of it is Jade's mentally unbalanced, and we're
Right.
getting her skewed perspective, and what she's seeing and what we're therefore hearing is not the real story.
Yeah. Can we trust this narrator? Yeah.
Right, which was fascinating to do. But then it comes back with the second one, and okay, it's established Jade knew what she was doing. Well, now it's all sorts of POVs. We get
Multiple.
everybody this very layered perspective. But then we come back to the third story, and it's Jade again. And so it's almost all just her point of view, but we know we can trust her now. So it's a different kind of story again.
Yeah.
What did you think of those choices?
I like that a lot. I was thinking about that after I finished, just kind of trying to honestly being like worried about like, will I be able to separate the three books? And thinking, yeah, they all definitely did have their own tone. For me personally, I think I liked the first one best. There was probably several reasons for that, but the singular viewpoint was one. And you know me, I like to be in the more juvenile YA young people category. So
Okay.
that whole high school, relationship with the teacher, that kind of thing was
Mm-hmm.
very interesting to me. I don't know what else to say about it. I think they were great choices. The second one was, well, and here's the other fun thing is like it all goes with the slasher movie genre. It's like movies made into novels.
Yes.
So the sequel has to be, it's got to be bigger, it's got to be
Uh-huh.
bloodier. So in a novel form, it's going to have more people. It's going to
Yes.
get a little more complex. So yeah, that takes away a little bit of the like, we're just in this one character the whole time, but it definitely expands the world quite a bit.
Yes.
But I am glad that he went back to Jade by the third one. And yes, totally what you said, that feeling of like, okay, we're in a comfortable place now. We know this person quite well. Let's go for a fun ride with her. We're not questioning like the first one, like, I'm looking for clues that are behind this writing. We're just with her and
Yes.
and witnessing everything.
The third one was actually my favorite. I enjoyed all three of them, But the third was my favorite primarily because I'm like, wow, what else is he going to pull out here now? It was just such an epic conclusion. Every time you turn around, how many ways can he think of for someone to die?
Yeah.
Who else is going to come up and show up? And it verged on the ridiculous
Yes.
without quite getting there. It was like right at the edge.
The little kid that tears people's heads off.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that was the thing that was probably newest for me and most threw me off center. I mean, Stephen King almost always has one bad guy, and maybe the bad guy is answering to a bigger bad guy that's sort of in the background. I think I made comment to you while I was reading, like, so this one has 3, 4, 5, 6 killers. I don't know. Everyone's a killer in this one. So that part was, I didn't know how to feel about it. I
Mhm.
guess I liked it, but I was, like you said, it verged on the ridiculous. Like, you just got to go with it at some point. Like, oh, okay. So
Now, it takes
Dark
us
Mills
into
House and then everyone else.
it takes us into discussing a deeper theme here, which is trauma. Okay, and the role trauma plays, both personal trauma, but also generational trauma, which is what we're seeing the result coming
Sure.
full fruition in that third book.
Yeah.
It's not just Jade's personal trauma or other people's personal issues. It's the generational trauma of the town of Prufrock going back in its history and then these recurring cycles of violence
Yeah.
as that really came to be unpacked in the third book. I'm like, wow, okay, this stuff is deep of where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And
Very
and
Stephen King like.
and then you get to see and you get to understand book one better and book two better because you find out where the real sources of these things are. I mean, they referenced the witch, they referenced Ezekiel's choir, in the earlier books.
Yeah.
These are all back in the history of the town, but they're real things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about amazing world building too, and really digging into that with a trilogy. I
Yeah.
mean, do you know, I don't know why I don't know this. This was planned as a trilogy from the start.
Yes. Yes, I'm pretty sure that's true.
I think that's my feeling too. And wow, he really did cash in all those plants from the first book in the third book. I mean, you're definitely right. All of those settings that were kind of hinted at were fully fleshed. Well, maybe not fully. I still don't quite understand Ezekiel and the church drowned town. I mean, I don't know.
Tied to people who, yeah, I'm not sure exactly either, who refused to when the dam was going to be built, and I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
But
The whole time I was waiting for I was kind of thinking, is this whole town and the place based on the hockey mask guy, Jason?
coming
I was
out of the
waiting
lake.
for the actual Jason to come from the bottom of the lake. Like, isn't this the same camp? Is it? I don't know Friday the 13th well enough.
Well, our killer in book two was kind of Jason-esque. He
Kinda
was
with his
something.
hook hand and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
he was cool. I liked Dark Mills South, and I
yes.
thought the naming of him was hilarious, which if you listen to the notes, it's like from a song or something.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
wrote these lyrics wrong and thought Dark Mills South.
What I appreciated about the focus on trauma, though, and where it comes from, there was the trauma that comes from abuse. We do
Yep.
learn it's revealed at the end of book one, and then she's still dealing with it along the way that Jade was abused by her father.
Yeah.
But we've also got the abuse of colonialism against the indigenous peoples and
Mhm.
that impact that's happened. Then the abuse of the trauma from ecological disasters. I mean, this was just a valley once upon a time, and they damned it. And there were people who lived here, and screw them,
The
and
king.
that kind of stuff that took place. And in modern day proof rock, nobody is addressing that. Everybody just wants to act like everything's fine, but they're paying the price still, the
Yeah.
personal price for things like Jade not coming to grips with what her father did to her, and the past history and choices against the indigenous people, against the town. Their custodian that should have been shipped off and packed
What a
away
growth.
years ago, and everybody
Yeah.
just kind of turns a blind eye to his freaking cameras everywhere. I mean, come
Yeah.
on.
That was disgusting and amazing as a character.
Yes, yes. And we learn at the end there about his ancestor who apparently was kidnapping little children and burying them in front of his house. And,
Yeah.
and nobody's dealt with these things. Yeah. The real monster in the town could be perhaps said the fact that nobody wants to reckon with the past. They just all turn a blind eye, put on the happy rural town face, and move forward. And no, that's a good way to be haunted.
Well, and there's a reason that this author can tell this story.
Yes.
He's a perfect one for it. And what an amazing, poignant kind of modern day, like you said, generational indigenous people trauma. And he uses that in the present day and in this genre to show, like Jade's always thinking, there's never an Indian final girl. There's no, I'm not in any of the, I'm not represented in any of these, but she is the main character in this book. And then you have these founders, these super rich people coming to basically take over the land, remake the land, put giant yachts on the lake.
Yes.
What an amazing fresh take on how this country was colonized, really.
Mhm,
It comes
mhm.
down to it. Yeah.
And in Proof Rock, how the cycles of
Yeah.
violence, the
Why
the
is this
newcomers,
happening again?
the
Ah!
newcomers, the rich people are building on the other side of the lake, which
Yeah.
everyone in Proof Rock knew we're not supposed to do stuff over there. But why? Because in the past, that's where we took people and got rid of them. Yeah,
Yeah. It's cursed.
you're gonna find the bodies. Oh man.
Yeah. The world building. I mean, this isn't a fantasy, but your fantasy for the ages. I write fantasy. We both love fantasy. When someone says world building, my mind automatically goes to fantasy, and I think Tolkien and, Narnia. But the world building here is simply amazing.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And I did appreciate his world building because he's got such complexity to it. So much he's built in, but he's grounded it in reality. I've driven through this part of Idaho, the town he created, because there is no Proof Rock. There is no Proof Rock on Indian Lake, and yet that looks like just any other little town in Idaho and acts like a little town in rural Idaho.
Yeah,
That I've driven through. It was realistic
kind
while
of like
being wow.
Stephen King's Derry or Castle Rock.
Exactly. Exactly. There it is. Let's talk more about Letha Mondragon. How does her relationship with Jade change over time? We talked about how Jade's perspective on things changes, but talk more about Letha, about her journey, say about survivalhood or complicity
Yeah.
in things. What do you see with Letha going on?
Another amazing character who grows and changes that the slasher movie alone cannot give us. And really, though, in My Heart is a Chainsaw, in the first one, Letha is the fully stereotypical final girl, with one exception. She's nice to Jade.
Oh no, there's one other exception I'll bring up, but okay.
Okay. Now I lost my train of thought because I want to hear your exception. You better just go.
Her dad was a rich, entitled psycho, and Letha knew it, but turned
Okay.
a complete blind eye to it. Like, wouldn't really look at it because that didn't fit her paradigm for what her life was.
Yeah,
But when that really comes out, she's not truly shocked.
you're right. You're right. But then I think of slasher movies like, as Jade points out, the parents and the law enforcement are kind of background characters. They're not going to affect the story too much. But yes, I did love the fact in Chainsaw that, what's the dad's name? Paul? I don't remember.
Oh,
Mr. Mondragon.
Mr. Mondragon.
He has a cool name, which I should remember. You can
I'll
talk.
pull it up. Keep talking.
Yeah, he's going around shooting construction people with nail guns in the chest.
Right?
So, but yeah, Letha, she's sort of blithe, beautiful. She has money, she has influence, she has popularity. By the second one, as we've talked about, she is basically turned tables with Jade. Jade's trying to be the straight one, and she's like, I've been watching horror movies, and I want to tell you. So they have this weird, like, Freaky Friday switch. And then in the
Yeah.
third one, she's a mom and a wife and kind of has grown up and has become part of the town. She's become like, hey, this is my place now. I'm not just one of the rich newcomers. I'm one of you and I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
And what a neat evolution. Like, kind of like Jade in the first book, she was desperate. When we first meet her, she's slitting her wrists, trying to kill herself. Basically, Letha pulls her up and then they kind of go through this together.
Yes. And Letha does go through stuff because, of course, she's horribly injured in that first massacre and has the jaw thing going on for the rest
Yeah,
of her life, basically. She's going to deal
yeah.
with that to an extent.
I am glad they fixed the jaw thing for the third book because I was like, ugh. The second book was painful. And then if you listen to an audiobook, they do the voice for like someone who's got a really messed up jaw that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
can barely stay attached.
Letha's dad, by the way, was Theo.
Theo
Very
Mondragon.
rich name, Theo Mondragon.
Yeah,
Our apologies to any of you who are named Theo, but hopefully you are not the arrogant, entitled type. But if you are, that's okay. Keep watching. You're fine.
we have a little kid Theo at school, and he's very much not a rich,
Oh,
arrogant
good.
guy. He's
Good, good,
super
good,
cool.
good. Something that I did appreciate, you've said a lot about Letha that I totally agree with, but this dynamic that she develops with Jade, you said it's the one thing in the first book that doesn't really stick out right, for Final Girl. Why would she connect with Jade? Jade's so much the different one, but it just happens. And
Yeah,
their friendship becomes very powerful. It's never simple. It's always a very complicated relationship. But I think the thing that struck me the most about it is it's an honest relationship. They can truly be who they are with each other. They don't have to keep secrets. And
yeah,
we see that play out in the third one, where, I mean, Letha goes off on Jade and, beating her to a pulp, and Jade just letting her do it because that's what you need right now. And partly I kind of deserve it. I don't, but I do, but I get it. It's complicated.
yeah. Yeah, he really gives them room to have some conversations, and you really see how they're fused. And not just by the trauma, even though that's how it kind of started, but
Hmm.
yeah, they're gonna be friends. I mean, Jade is the honorary aunt of
Yep.
80.
Yep.
So yeah, very
Absolutely.
cool.
All right, let's talk about the Lake Witch, the myth of the Lake Witch. Is the Lake Witch real? Is the Lake Witch a metaphor? What is Stephen Graham Jones really doing with that? What do you think?
Yeah, again, this is one of those like things that kind of caught me off guard all the way in the first one. I was like, wait, what? He planted in things about this little girl that was chucked into the lake and didn't sink in and crawled across it. And I was like, oh, that's creepy. And then she pops back up at the end during the massacre.
Mm-hmm.
I never really thought of her as a metaphor. I just thought, oh, okay, it's a historical, long time it kind of character that always resurfaces and is just part of the evil.
The parents would use the Lake Witch to scare their children into behaving better, or the Lake
Yeah,
Witch is going to come and get you.
yeah, it's legend of the town, obviously.
Uh-huh.
But the Lake Witch does stuff in all three books.
Yeah.
But it is very, like, sort of weirdly, like, surreal when her parts.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, what? Every
See,
time she came in.
I think Jones is doing different things with the Lake Witch. Yes, she is real. She's a creature from their background, from their history, who's still there, and we can't fully understand why, but she's also symbolic. She's the town's collective guilt, this kind of thing we've done that now weighs us down.
Yeah,
We have this
it's gonna keep
anchor
coming
upon
back.
our
Yeah,
buried sins that we don't want to see come to light. Yes, they're scary, they're dark, and they should stay buried, but those things don't truly stay buried if they're not dealt with. This is life. This things
yeah,
come back from the past and
yeah,
they can still hurt you. So she comes back and she hurts them. So it's literal, but it's
Yep.
also figurative, which I think is just really cool writing.
I guess listening to you talk about her, that's kind of the Jason thing, right? Like they talk about Jason was a little boy that drowned. People didn't save him, and so he comes back to get his revenge.
Until
So
you get through enough sequels where people just want to see him slash teenagers.
yeah.
Yeah. Then,
Yeah.
then it kind of fades a little. So Jones, don't do another book of this. You finished. Good trilogy. Stop here.
No, and he, like you said, he gets a lot more mileage out of it in that way, like a real danger, but representing, yeah,
Yes.
this.
Yes.
And
Representing things. Exactly.
that's very It-like too, isn't it? Thinking about It and Stephen King and the whole town, it's like the whole town is sick. And when the
Hmm.
bad things are happening, the adults kind of just don't
Yes.
see. They just drive
They
on
can't
by.
even see it. They can't. Yeah.
Yep.
So we talked lightly about how the trilogy uses horror tropes, the slasher tropes. Jones is using those very brilliantly to critique real world issues, which is the depth to this book. It's not just about the killers and
Right.
the slashings. Different aspects, different tropes are representative of things in here. The masked killer is, sometimes a stand in for systemic failures of how the world doesn't work right.
Yeah.
The body count, what would that be perhaps symbolic of? What do you see that these people have to die is what?
Well, you'll have to help me with this because I don't think I delved as deep as you did.
Oh,
Also, I'm tired from being out in the sun.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And
But
and viewers, I did not give Eric the questions ahead of time, so he's just what comes to his mind.
yeah,
And it's yeah, if nothing, if it goes blank is on your mind, that's fine. You say that, but
well,
you
I
know,
like how he kind of meta talks about this. At first, it's whoever coming back to get revenge for the prank that was done. But then it becomes something more than that. But that's kind of where I'm like, yeah. Let me hear your thoughts.
well, again, the town has not owned up to its past issues. Therefore, people are dropping because that's the sacrifice the community is making. By not, it's basically we are sacrificing our innocent on the altar of our sins. If we had owned stuff, this bad stuff wouldn't be coming out now. Now, who makes sure we don't address things? Well, it's usually the powerful, the ones in charge, and that's certainly a part of the first book. You got the
Yeah,
rich people over in Terra Nova, and their garbage doesn't stink.
yeah.
Everything's hidden, and people pay a big price for that.
Well, and what was her teacher was Holmes, Grady
Yes,
Bear Holmes.
loved him.
He was the figure that represented, hey, I know about this town. I know the history. I know what we've done wrong. This Terra Nova thing is wrong, and I'm going to fight against it. And he kind of gets shunted off to the side and erased because he's the little guy. I think the first one does that pretty well.
Yep.
And then like you said, it comes back around in the third one. Like they didn't learn their lesson. They're building the houses. They're building again, even
Right.
bigger, more
Right.
expensive, better. There's another super yacht. It's like, come on, people. But,
Right.
but that's a very slasher movie.
Yes.
They make parody commercials off this. Like,
Hmm.
where should we hide? How about in this shed full of
Oh, I love those commercials.
chainsaws? Yeah.
Yep.
So
Mr. Holmes. He's the one that we get at the end of the third book that they go back and read like a letter he wrote or something, and it's Stephen King that voices him in
yes.
in the third audiobook. That was great.
Yes,
Loved it.
yes, and you did a good job not giving that
So
away.
hard not to tell you that was coming.
You
Uh,
you got my text as soon as I was done. I was like, "Stephen King!"
Jade. We've talked about her journey. Let's talk about one particular aspect of that journey. She's Jade in the first book, constantly correcting people, like her
Yeah,
teacher when he'd call her Jennifer. No, it's
yeah,
Jade. It's Jade. She becomes Jennifer for the second book.
mhm.
Why does that matter? What did you see in that?
Yeah,
Because I
that's
don't think it's just the rejection of I'm not a slasher girl anymore. I think
yeah,
there's something more to it.
and that's the really neat thing. I mean, having written a couple books with the same characters, as an author, you want the character to have an arc within the book, but she gets an arc within the trilogy as well.
Yes.
So the first book, she's an angry 17-year-old. Basically, she's got trauma that we don't know about because she is not able to face.
Right.
But
She's hiding from it.
yeah, she's hiding behind hair color and huge makeup,
I'm the
fake
goth girl.
eyeliner,
Yep.
and she's changing her name to try to be someone else. Which, like I said, that's what I identify with. I mean, I'm around middle schoolers a lot, and I'm always telling them, like, be yourself, to stop trying to be everyone else, or stop trying to be someone that is someone you think you're supposed to be. Be yourself. But that's Jade in the first book. Second book is more, again, she has an arc, but it's kind of like, I see that that girl was really angry, and I want to try a different way this time. Is it successful? No, because you have to endure another Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
In the third one, she comes full circle to be like, you know what? I am Jade because I'm a badass final girl.
Yes.
She
Yes.
owns it. She owns the Jade this time. It's not an escape. It's a, this is who I am. So,
Right. I
so
like
the
that.
first two, she's trying to figure out who she is. And by the third one, she's like, this is who I am, and I'm doing this thing.
Yeah, that first one, she's Jade to protect herself.
Yeah.
It's
Like the
armor in a
mask.
way. It's an escape. It's I don't have to deal with anything because I am this. I am Jade, this created character.
Yeah.
Becoming Jennifer is vulnerability. She's opening up. So in theory, she's trying to move on. She's trying to do something with life. She's healing. But yeah, the world doesn't cooperate with her yet. There's still too much generational trauma in Proof Rock that has to be brought to life. But coming through both of those experiences is just like you said, she takes on Jade in the end, saying, no, I'm badass.
Yeah.
I'm going to own who I am. I'm taking all the good and the bad and everything I've learned and making it into this. And it's the real me now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it.
And that's a good mirror of everyone when you think of it. I mean, we don't all have the same circumstances, but in growing up, you search for yourself and you try things on. Hopefully you get to a point where you're like, this is me, and things might go badly, but I'm going to be me through it. So that's very satisfying for the reader. That trilogy arc is like, yes. And
Mhm.
like I told you, I was reading through things about this, and I read some review comment that's like, Jade Daniels goes down as one of the, you know, with Laurie Strode and all the other super cool badasses in slasher history, and she's the best one. It's true. It's
Yes. Yeah, it is.
she's a fully realized character.
Right. Now, let's talk about one of the other characters that for me becomes one of my favorites and most tragic. Banner. Because we've
Yeah,
got Letha and Banner. You know, Banner starts out as the typical high school jock that I could care less about, just like Jade felt about him. You know, he was just this idiot guy. He goes on to become something more, something better in the second book. And of course, by the third book, he's married to Letha and has a kid.
and he's the sheriff.
And he's become someone heroic in a sense. He's willing to do what needs to be done. He's a protector. He's
Yeah,
going to save people. He's going to do what is right. He's fully become the Banner that could be Banner Tompkins.
yeah.
And then he's taken out. I'm like, holy crap. That was
Well,
so brutal.
I mean, I have to tell you, and it's Stephen Graham Jones' fault because he planted this at the very beginning, or maybe it was in the second book. I don't know. In my brain, Banner is Dewey from Scream. You know, kind of a bumbling but lovable. Everyone
Dewey
loves
is
it.
in the second book.
Yeah,
He made it further in book 3 than Dewey ever does.
right, right. He's Dewey, but I still kind of thought of him that way. But I think he did that partially on purpose because, like you said, taking him out, he wanted that to hit and hurt. And it did by the
Yeah.
third book because you were kind of like, oh, Banner, he's fine. He's Dewey. Like, he's goofy and he might not be able to, like, execute the mission, but everyone still loves him and he's fine. And now he's a good dad and a good husband, and bam.
Painful. Painful.
Yeah, I once the Dewey thing went into my mind, I just saw that actor
Okay. Okay.
anytime he was referenced. But he did have a cool arc. I mean, it's another really neat showing how people grow and then kind of exploring in the genre too, like how one character could become a few different people over the course of
Yeah.
trilogy.
That's more realistic.
Really grow up, yeah.
Mhm. When Banner dies, he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't deserve the death. He didn't earn it in any way.
Yeah.
And Jade takes on more guilt for it because it's her dad who kills him. But yeah, I mean, it's her psycho dead dad who kills him, you know. But she literally is like, it could have just been me if I hadn't have grabbed Banner at just that moment and turned him just the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sucked.
So here's one thing that I was like, "Ugh, I don't get that. I feel like that stands for something, but the golden pickaxe, what is that? I don't get it."
Another legend of the lake.
Yeah. Is that
Um,
another, like, people building railroads and pushing the indigenous people out and that kind of, is it representative of that?
there
Or
was something to it like that, and the danger of greed, and how you basically you pay a price. But also, it was kind of revealed in the third book there that yeah, it really wasn't anything.
yeah,
It just was symbolic. It happened, but it was really the power of Ezekiel and the lake and the stuff, the supernatural gunk in it, that was really generating everything.
yeah. And it made some cool, square-shaped holes in people's foreheads.
Yeah. Ooh.
Where did this square-shaped hole come from?
But I appreciated how Jade was written in how she had to deal with Banner because she didn't like him in the first book. He was part of that group that,
Right.
and then in the second book, now he's good friends with Letha. I mean, are they married already in the second book? Or are
I
they just
don't
dating?
remember. I don't think so, but she likes him a whole lot, and Jade is still like, "Why?"
And so if you like him, I have to like him kind of thing. So it has
Yeah,
to
it's
associate
more
with,
grudging, like, "Okay, I guess
but
you're gonna be
through
part."
that experience kind of comes to appreciate him. And
Uh-huh.
she goes to prison for him. Now she didn't put that connection together fast enough, but she destroyed property. And that was the deal. She couldn't destroy any public property or she'd end up back in jail. Well, she didn't put the snowplow in the lake. Banner did. But
Yeah,
she took the lump for it so Banner wouldn't lose his job. And then, whoops, she goes to prison for 4 years.
right,
But she kept silent about it for Banner, but only
right.
partly for Banner, mostly for Letha.
Yeah.
And
Because my
so
friend likes this guy, I have to, yeah,
by the time she's back again in the third book, Banner knows what she did for him. Letha knows what she did for him. There's a bond over that, an appreciation for each other. I still don't think, she fully would ever just hang out with him if there wasn't Letha in the middle there. But there's also the daughter. And so there's this relationship where they kind of have to coexist in the same circle, and they found a way to be positive about it. So if she goes across the lake, it's for Banner.
yeah.
She needs to get over there and make sure he knows what's going on
Warn
and
him and
help him, save
yeah.
him if she can. She's driven. This is not just for Letha now. This is for Banner. So again, some growth that happens all the way through that I appreciate.
Yeah, that's another thing that happens in real life and thing that is satisfying to see in the story is characters change in the way they think about each other. Because it's inspirational. I mean, we probably all have people who are friends of friends that were like, "Why are you friends with this person?" And then as we see that friendship and get to know the person better, it's like, "Oh, I wrote you off too quickly. I shouldn't have done that." So again, like I said at the very start, a fun, very messy, bloody thing with excellent writing.
Mm-hmm.
And in the age of Netflix and just so much trashy content of movies that is like, oh, that was sort of entertaining. Wooden characters, one-dimensional characters. Reading something with fully realized characters, multiples of them, is excellent. I mean, they seem like real people.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you mentioned you're not so much into slashers. You get good horror, but you're familiar with slashers. You've seen
Yeah.
your share. So you're familiar with the rules of slashers. And, in this trilogy, which slasher rules were actually followed versus which ones were totally broken? Just for a few, what comes to mind?
The only one that comes to mind is thanks to Jade and all her thoughts about what it takes to be a final girl. You have to be pure. You
For
have to
trash.
be, yeah. That's really the only one that is in my brain. Then I have the things from Scream, which were mostly humorously
But true
related.
in the
But
slasher genre. I love Scream.
you know, don't go anywhere by yourself. Don't ever say, I'll be right back.
Right? Of course, the biggest rule is the final girl survives. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a rule, that's a trope, and Jade technically follows it, but at much greater cost than is usually paid. I mean, there's usually a physical cost, maybe a slight emotional cost, but her whole
All her
life
friends
is
had to die.
transformed. All right, almost done. I guess the last question I want to get to is what is Stephen Graham Jones saying about the cost of being a final girl?
Well, I think first of all, he's saying anyone can be a final girl. You don't even have to be a girl. So he's telling readers, don't think that you can't step up and do something. You can do it.
But
But like
remember
the cost,
the cost. Yeah. The theme of trauma that's so huge in this book is totally interwoven to what he's saying about the final girl, too.
yeah, there's going to be trauma. I mean, I'm trying to
Going to
pair
be, it's trauma incarnate to be a final
yeah.
girl.
I think I'm trying to impose my own worldview on it, which is basically I do think he's saying it's not going to be easy. If you want to make it to the other side, it's probably not going to look like you think it's going to look.
Right. The pop culture image of what to be the
Yeah.
final girl. No, it's not like that at all. Right.
But when you look back, you will see that you have grown a lot and you'll have a weight of sadness to you too. Like there's a literal trail of bodies here, but in anyone's life, like things aren't generally handed to you. You have to work real hard. And even the stories of overnight success, if you dig into those a little, it's like, yeah, it was 15 years of toil and eating ramen and then overnight success. So that's where I'm putting my own worldview on
Yeah.
it.
No, no, I get that.
It's not going to be pretty, it's not going to be nice, but
Right.
the final girl is not something that's exterior. It's something that's in you that needs to grow and blossom.
And tied to being the final girl is you survive. Okay. But survival is not the glorious victory.
Yeah,
Survival is, you said sorrow. There's grief.
yeah,
There's the bodies you left behind. And you have two choices then. You can either be destroyed by that or you move through. You let go of what needs to be let go and you connect with who you can connect. Like she and Letha are still going to be together now. They've
yeah,
been through so much, but it together is how they're going to get through moving forward as the survivors. They'll have their memories and they're going to have to be careful with the memories, piece together the stuff that's worth remembering
yeah.
and let go of the stuff that just there's nothing nothing positive to be gained because it's terrible.
Well, and that's something the whole horror genre, I think why we just collectively people like it because it strips you down to your basic core and makes you look at who am I? And without all these trappings of, safety and all that, who am I? And
Mhm.
what would I do if? So it kind of gives you a glimpse at that and a look at yourself. So
I will say that the themes that Jones tries to get across to us here about these kinds of experiences, if they were to be real, and they're all allegories for other experiences that are very real. that there are a few actual horror franchises that have finally gotten to a place where they also portray that more appropriately. One of those is one of the biggies, Halloween, which starts out with Laurie Strode and that traumatic experience. And then the second movie is just more of the traumatic experience.
Yeah.
It's the same night,
Again.
But then you got a bunch of trashy movies in the middle. And then you've got the final trilogy where they come back and basically show Laurie Strode all grown up to grandma age, and she's a traumatized, psychotic badass. Yes, she survived, but her world, her life has been miserable. And
Yeah.
it's been all about the fixation of being ready for when he comes back again. I'm like, that is not life. That is terrible. And that is what can happen.
When you were saying that, Sarah Connor in Terminator, same kind of
Yeah.
deal. If you skip some of the trashy middle movies, it's like, wow.
It's a new phrase. Some of the trashy middle movies.
Exist for to kill Terminators. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of, I think, what I wanted to talk about today. This trilogy was raw at times. It was emotional. It was worth diving into. There's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
Stephen Graham Jones gives us the surface stuff. We get a lot of horror slasher vibes all through it. He respects the genre, but he pulls a lot more out of it. He wants us to have something with more meaning, more introspection, more depth. And
definitely. Yeah, a really fun ride with a lot of good messages underneath.
Yeah. So you say a really fun ride. It is about entertainment, but also it's about those
Makes you
things:
think.
justice, survival, grief, healing, trauma, and all the things that he's saying about those as you go. So we've unpacked a bit of that, viewers. If you have thoughts about this, because you all were supposed to have read this already, you shouldn't have listened if you didn't read it all. We'd love to hear your comments. Put them down in the comment box. What deep themes did you connect with? What characters, what moments were the most meaningful to you? What did we say today that you particularly agreed with? Or you can't believe we were that dumb? Put your thoughts in the comments. I do read them. I do respond. And if they're particularly for Eric, put at Eric and I'll make sure he sees it and I'll get his response for you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, please. A lot of you have joined us over the past month, and that's fantastic, but we're always ready for more. So, yeah, let us know by liking and subscribing. That's how we know that we're doing a good job. That's about all I have. Eric, you got any last thoughts? You want to tell them about anything else that you may have? You mentioned books you're writing. You didn't name them at all yet. Why don't you remind people of your
Well, I have a trilogy and about half of another one going on. So, yes, I write.
Nothing to do with slashers, nothing to do with horror.
No, there's some scary stuff, but it's mostly dragons and wizards. So I've written Jake the Dragon Talker, Xander the Shadow Girl, and Owen and Emelina, and working on number 4. It's a fantasy series about kids.
They're still right there.
Dealing in the problems kids have, only it's usually in other worlds. Very fun stuff.
Absolutely. I've read them. I've enjoyed them. Check them out. Okay, so that's where we'll leave you then. Eric, thank you for being here today. This has been fun. Good conversation.
Thanks so much for having me again. Can't wait for your 3,000 plus subscriber celebration.
Yeah, keep an eye on our YouTube channel. That'll be coming up here on July 20th. Live stream episode. Come celebrate with us since we're over 3,000, now over 3,100. Who knows where we'll be by then?
Fantasy for the ages, tons of good stuff. If you need recommendations like this series that Jim recommended to me, look at the backlog. You could spend days, literally weeks,
Lots and lots of videos. All right. Until next time, read well, slay responsibly, and remember, the Lake Witch is always watching. We'll talk to you next time.